In this video, I'm going to introduce to you MCP, but first, let me share a story that hopefully will really connect. I keep USB-C cables and chargers in every single division of my house in all electric sockets. The living room, bedroom, bathroom, the kitchen, like more often in two places of the same part or of the same room. Because, they're going to charge my phone, my headphones, my tablet, and to be honest, I want it to be charged everywhere that I sit in, whatever it is. And everything just clicks, works lovely. But then there's my smartwatch, and it needs its own odd-shaped charger. So every time the battery dies, I'm crawling under the couch looking for it, or I'm outside my apartment and I don't have a charger with me because, no one has that type of charger. And it's kind of annoying. And you see, AI apps have kind of like the same headache here, the same pain. Most data sources, so databases, API, file systems, feel like different chargers that each AI need to connect to. And that's the problem here. The Model Context Protocol is really a solution here. It's called the USB-C for AI because it gives every tool and data source one universal plug. Now, here are some of the key concepts that we are going to cover in this video. The first one will be, of course, the MCP. This is an open source standard that lets AI models connect to any data source or tool through one common plug. Then we're going to have the host. This is the AI application. Let's say, your laptop that wants to use the outside data. Then we have the client. This is the small component inside the host that is going to open a connection to the outside world in order to connect to, something. We also have the server, and this is the separate process that offers data or action. So what are we going to connect to? And then we have primitives. And these are basically 5 different things that we can do. So we have prompts, resources, tools, root, and sampling. I would say tools, sampling, resource, and prompts would be the most common. Root, it's still a bit difficult, but it's one of the possibilities. Out of all of them, tools is by far the most common, like by far. You know that AI agents have tools. And this is like the purpose, right? We have tools that we use. Now, let's explore this one by one. So let's map out to this so that we see really how it works. We start here with a host, right? So think of it as, for instance, your laptop, right? It runs the AI experience that you see. Maybe, it's a chatbot in a browser or, a coding assistant. And the host doesn't directly talk to the database or APIs. It delegates that job to the clients here. And they live inside, and you can have one or more clients. The client here will be like the USB-C port, right? It's going to speak the MCP language, and it's going to open a secure one-to-one conversation with an MCP server. This is called a JSON RPC over a WebSocket, which is fancy words for simple real-time messaging format. And here to highlight that, you can have multiple clients, and most often you're just going to have one, but you can have more than one. And to illustrate this, so here's like a meme that I found the other day that I thought, really illustrates this. I saw a guy coding today, tab 1 ChatGPT, tab 2 Gemini, tab 3 Claude, tab 4 Grok, tab 5 DeepSeek. He asked every AI the same question, patiently waited, then pasted each response into 5 different Python files. Hit run on all 5, picked the best one, like a psychopath. It was me. And here is the bottom line. You can have more than one client. Then these clients, they are going to have, and let me use here the mouth, they're going to connect to servers, and this is going to be through the MCP connection. So the MCP connection is, let's say, the USB-C cable, and you're going to connect to Stripe, to a database, to some kind of like documentation. And over here, you can have prompt templates, tools, resources, routes, and sampling. The primitives here, or for instance, the prompt templates, these are, for instance, text snippets or templates that the server can inject into the model's context to guide the behavior. We can have the resources, let me cover here the tools first. They are functions, so things that the model can do. The resources, these are more read-only documents, schemas, files. So these are things that the model can reference. The routes, these are secure file system access that are set up by the client so that the model can only open the files that you allow. This is really more enterprise driven. I mean, I have used a couple of times the MCP, more than a couple of times. The root, at least for my use cases, has not been one that I've done. But the last one is something that is extremely useful here. It's really one of those that kind of like sets it apart because it's basically a way for the server to ask the model for help. So LLM draft a SQL query. So aside from we accessing the server here, what we can do is that we can have our LLM connect to the server, and this sampling is going to be like, hey, kind of like help me out with this, and vice versa. You can also have the server ask the LLM for help, say, how can I actually perform this function? And that is it. Now, we also have this end-by-end problem. This is something that we aim to fix the MCP because it's bound to be that if you have an AI or several and you want to connect, it's kind of like, it's a problem, and if they're all different. Let's say that we have a GPT model and you want to know the weather. That's easy. You can connect it to one. But then, if you want to connect to Stripe, email, CRM, a database, you have 5 different connections. And then if you have all the other models, like this is absolutely exponential because they would all connect differently. They would all have different tools and way that we use tools and so on. And this is what we're solving. We're simplifying the ability for our AI to do stuff, to build stuff, to make stuff happen. Now, there's one practical example here that I want to share with you. Let me go to the whiteboard. Okay, let's say that we are taking care of dealing with our customers, right? We want that our assistant send invoices to customers, right? This is what we want to do. We want something very, very straightforward. And here we're going to have our host /client. Here we go. Right. And this is what we're going to tell. So this is like our AI program. We're like, hey, send invoices to the customers. And let's say that we're dealing with Stripe, right? So we have Stripe here. And what is going to happen is that we are going to ask Stripe, right? We're going to come here, okay? Like we're going to ask, or not we, but our AI is going to ask, hey, what kind of like tools do you have? And then Stripe is going to, tell us back. So we have a specific tool that actually creates invoices for customers. And you're going to see, because we're going to do it together, because we can be like, okay, we need to have like a customer account and so on. And then it'll be like, okay, we have this, and then Stripe is going to ask, how can we get the data from the database? Like, who are these customers, right? So then our host is going to go to our LLM, and the LLM is going to be like, hey, build a specific SQL query. So they use this specific query to figure out who are these customers. And then the host client sends the query to Stripe again. So actually change color. Okay, so we're going to send the SQL query here. And then, Stripe, okay, is going to say, hey, I have the customers. And then it would ask do you approve? It's kind of like a double check with Stripe because there's like so many safety options. When you guys, okay, do you approve? And it'll be like, so this goes to the host, and then we would say yes, and then this would, complete the process. The bottom line is that we're always interacting. I put this here as a triangle so that it's easier. But the bottom line is that we are having here our AI, right? So AI, our AI is going to have an interpreter. This looks horrible. I mean, hopefully it doesn't look as bad, but the explanation should be clear. We're going to have an interpreter, and this interpreter is going to allow us to do stuff. And what makes all of this easier, and I'm not saying possible, I'm saying easier, is the MCP. Because it would always still be possible here to have something, like this, right? So this would always be possible. But to the extension that's easy and actually manageable to make all of this happen via the MCP. And there's going to be more. So I have 5 here, but the bottom line is that, currently we have more like 1,000 servers already. We have a lot more AIs, and we have a lot more, let's say, if you take even the OpenAI, right? Just a sheer amount of endpoints, it's massive. So this solves a very specific problem. Therefore, to conclude, really what I want to highlight here and what I want you to take from this is that the MCP is the universal USB-C plug for AI, and it lets any model safely, and we're going to emphasize about safety here, to discover and use any tool or data source through one open standards protocol. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm really excited to share this new technology with you. I'll see you in the next video.